Flaw Marlin, I guess it's Florida Marlin. Flaw Marlin 21 asks me, what is the hardest game I have played on a system? That's tough because games could be hard for so many different reasons and in so many different ways. Probably, there's a couple of games that are just so ridiculously hard that I can't see anybody really playing them in any sort of serious way, much less actually having fun with them. And then there are games that are really fun but get like really insane and crazy and hard. I mean, I've obviously a big fan of Abadox. You guys have seen the videos recently, and that's a very hard game. But I've played harder games. It's really hard to pinpoint just one. So I'm gonna say probably the hardest game that I've ever played is the Contra game on the Genesis is very hard because they designed it in Japan where, unlike most Contra games where you just get hit once and you die, they designed it where you could actually get hit 2 times and not die, and then on the third hit you would die. But because, for whatever reason, I guess it's because all the other games had been one-hit deaths, when they brought it to America, they changed it to where one hit would kill you. But it wasn't really designed for that. It was designed to let you take 2 hits before you die. So that made it much, much harder than it should have been. So if you play like Contra the Hardcore and Sega Genesis on like the hardest difficulty, that's probably the hardest game I've ever played that's actually challenging. It's not like broken. WeMaster91 asked me if I've played Desert Demolition on Sega Genesis. No, I haven't. Doug Game Guy has 2 questions for me. One is, what has got me into Castlevania? Well, when I was a kid, and it was the 8-bit era of gaming, remember the old local video stores before everything was like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video and Netflix and GameSpy. We had local video stores, and we would rent games occasionally, and my parents would always go and take them out, and sometimes they turned out to be good, and sometimes not so good. And didn't do a lot of renting, but when we did rent, occasionally, you'd come across a real gem. And I remember that's how I got into Zelda, because we rented Zelda 2. And that's how I got into Castlevania, because we rented Simon's Quest, which is the second Castlevania. And even then, like when it just said Simon's Quest. We didn't even realize it was like the second part until my uncle pointed out that that's Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. And then we got into I got the first game, and then I remember the first game that I can remember buying with my own money, saving up like $50 over time, like allowances and birthday money and that kind of stuff. I got Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. So that's how I got into it. His other question was, for someone who's new to the series, which game would I recommend? And he makes a point of saying that he has all the Nintendo systems. I would recommend like Symphony of the Night, but that's not on a Nintendo system. It's on PlayStation and PSP and Xbox 360. So I'd probably recommend just like to get the Game Boy Advance ones. So you Circle the Moon's a little hard, and Aria of Sorrow is not hard, and it's my favorite. But if you want to ease into it, I would maybe start with Harmony of Dissonance, maybe. I don't know. I would say to watch my feature where I played them all and just look at which one you think is the best to start with. Sayuki204 asks me 3 questions. The first question is, am I a fan of Duke Nukem? I was at a time. I mean, Duke Nukem is such a parody thing, and I think a lot of people who are fans of it don't realize how much of it is a parody of things like Bruce Campbell and whatnot. And I liked the first 3 Duke Nukem games to an extent for different reasons. Probably 2 and 3 are the best. I didn't play a lot of the other ones after that, like 0 Hour and whatnot. And second question is, would I play Duke Nukem Forever if it came out? Well, it's not going to come out, I'll tell you that right off the bat, because the company that makes them, 3D Realms, is gone. But if it did come out and it looked to me like something that was fun and funny and had good gameplay, sure, I would play it. And finally, if they made a live-action Castlevania movie, would I see it? Well, they are making a live-action Castlevania movie, and I absolutely do plan on seeing it. I've resigned myself to the fact that it's probably going to be viciously, horribly bad, but I don't care. Jared, I think it's Jared Neal or something. I'm sorry, my handwriting is terrible. Said, what is my favorite survival horror game and why? Well, I'm not really much into the survival horror genre. I don't like go out of my way to get them. I like the Resident Evil series, and 4 is my favorite because the gameplay is so perfect. It's not just scary like a lot of them are, but the gameplay is actually really tight. So definitely Resident Evil 4. I also have Resident Evil 5, but I haven't played it yet. I'm planning on doing like a marathon, so I can't really give my opinion on 5, but 4 out of the ones I've played is my favorite. ZZ Top 123Q asks, what is the worst NES game I've ever played? This game called Wait and See. Have you ever heard of this? It's not an official game by any means, but I did a video of it, so you might want to search for that. It's called Wait and See, is an exclamation point at the end. Fucking, you know what? Even from the video, you can't tell exactly how bad it is until you actually play it. Like, I got a comment on that, something like, I've never seen someone suck so bad at a game, and it's like, you can't play it. It's unplayable. It's like, give it a shot, and then tell me what you think. Dark Knight 13 asks me 2 questions. One is, what is my goal for 2010? Kind of an unclear question. I'm going to assume they mean for the channel. It's just to bring you guys great videos. I mean, I don't really... I have a schedule, not a goal, so I don't really know how to answer that. They also ask, what is my middle name? And the way they worded it, he's not asking what is my middle name. He's asking me to tell him what his middle name is. So I'm going to say Herman. Danny Bo 64 has 2 questions for me. The first is, if I had one day to live, what would I do? Other than cry like a bitch, I really don't know. That's kind of like one of those things where you could come up with all sorts of answers, but if you were ever put in the position, you'd find that they're probably not true. You don't really know what you would do in that kind of situation until it arises, and hopefully, if I had a day to live, I want to know about it. Second question, this is the grammatical thing that I have a problem with. I had a hard time understanding what some of these questions meant because of the way they were worded. What got you in to make a video like this? I think they mean the question and answer video. And actually, when I was nearing 1,000 subscribers, somebody asked me if I would do what they call the traditional Q&A, and I said sure. And I don't know how much of a tradition it is because I've never seen anybody do a video like that, but I thought it would be fun, so I did it. And then I said, well, it was so much fun doing it the first time that I'll do it when I reach 2,000. So here we are. And it's fun now, so I'll do it when I reach 3,000. Mario Kev asked me, what is the best Dreamcast game I own and why? I like fighting games a lot, so Capcom vs. SNK 2 is probably my favorite. And I actually own that game 3 times. I own it on the Dreamcast, I own it on the GameCube, and I own it on the PS2. Actually, the Dreamcast version is my favorite. As for why, it's just a great game. Dylan897 asks if I like Marilyn Manson. No. Wherever They May Roam asks if you could bring back one game... Oh, I like this one. If I could bring back one game console that was out of production, what would it be? It would absolutely be the Super NES. I love the Super NES. I think it's the greatest system ever made. Not like, I last time I did, like, what is your favorite? And I said GameCube. It was like, because I love the GameCube. But what is the greatest? I mean, I just think of, like, my childhood and just think of all the great 16-bit games that came out. I love the Super NES. So, yeah, I would want to see more. And I see, like, the sort of 8-bit chic that is in now, like Mega Man 9 and 10. I'd love to see 16-bit stylings come into play. Like, what if they did, like, Mega Man X8? No, I'm sorry, X9 it would be. Mega Man X9 and, like, a 16-bit style. Some companies are doing that, like Squaresoft did Final Fantasy IV The After Years on WiiWare, and there's a couple other titles on there like that that are in a 16-bit style. I would love to see more of that. Where was I? Oh. Mr. Video Game Guy asked me, how am I such a badass? I guess, I was just born that way. Super Jim Bob 95 asks me, where did the word assy come from? Well, part of it is I'm a big, like, fan of Howard Stern, and he always puts, like, a Y at the end of words that don't normally have a Y at the end of them. Like, he'll say something as fucky or cunty or something like that, and I just thought that's really funny. I don't think he's ever said assy. James Rolfe, who plays Angry Video Game Nerd, said it once. He said assy. I think it was the NES Accessories video, and I thought it was really funny, and I never heard him use that word ever again. And I thought, why would he have such a great word and then never use it again? And I just started going around saying it to people, like, "Oh, that's assy, that's assy." As a matter of fact, I got people who know me in real life that started saying assy all the time because I started saying it. So I said to myself, this is really infectious, and I started saying it all over the time, and I started creeping into the videos, and it's become like sort of a trademark of mine. It's not something I came up with, but it's become like my trademark. So like whenever I do like a playthrough, like Zelda, I name my character Assy or whatever, or Assy Fuck or whatever. So that's where that came from.